Just a few minutes of walking each week can help prevent chronic disease. As East Texas News reporter April Peardon tells us, there's an effort underway in Tyler to get people moving.
If East Texas was its own state in the U.S., we would be one of the unhealthiest states.
Terrence Aites with Net Health partnered with Tyler Parks and Recreation Center to start the
Healthy for Life weekly walking series,
a free walking and learning program encouraging the community to develop healthier lifestyles.
Exercise is so important for our health, and one of the easiest and most simple things you can do is go for a walk.
According to Net Health, 1 in 4 adults in Northeast Texas do not engage in any physical activity for exercise nor recreation.
Think about type 2 diabetes, heart disease, the rate of individuals having heart attacks, and preventable health issues.
12% of the East Texas population has type 2 diabetes. That is 1 out of every 8 East Texans. Some individuals may not even know they have it. And 1 out of 3 East Texans will develop some type of heart condition in their lifetime. In Smith County alone, 40% of residents are overweight or obese.
Overall goal is to encourage people just to get more exercise throughout their day.
And all it really takes is just going out for a walk. The American Heart Association suggests that even a 20-minute walk each day can help maintain cardiovascular health.
We encourage you to walk in your neighborhood, walk up and down your street,
as well as learn more about better lifestyle habits such as eating, exercising, and sleeping.
And you can read and review the lesson as you're doing the walk.
All it takes is a few steps to start living a healthier lifestyle. April Peardon, East Texas News.
The weekly wellness walks will be held every Friday morning through the end of June at Noble E. Young Park in Tyler from 8:30 to 9 a.m.